3 rich teenagers dumped coffee on me, put gum in my hair, and called me a fat loser at the cafe. Then an hour later, I walked onto stage as their new principal. The bratty teenagers harassing me at a cafe had no idea I was their new principal. I stopped at the coffee shop next to my new high school before my first day as principal, picking up the box of donuts I'd ordered for the kids in detention. I'd read their files last night and figured starting with kindness might work better than punishment, since it seemed like this school had a real problem with mistreating the poorer students that I was hoping to correct, and fast. I'd dressed down in jeans and a cardigan since I'd changed into my suit at school, and I was pulling up student files on my phone, particularly the ones marked at risk that previous principals had given up on. But then 3 kids in Jefferson uniforms walked in and decided I'd be their morning entertainment. It was clear right away that these weren't the poor kids I was reading about. The first one had a backpack that spelled out Yvonne in rhinestones and a phone that cost more than my rent. She looked at me pondering the menu board and loudly whispered to her friends, "God, old people are so slow. She's been staring at it for like 5 minutes." She turned to the boy next to her. "Liam, look at her squinting. She probably can't see it without her bifocals." I ignored them and ordered a simple latte, then asked for my box of donuts, figuring I'd just get everything and leave without any confrontation. This cafe wasn't my school. I wasn't trying to be the boss here, but when Yvonne saw the donut box, she burst out laughing. Of course she's getting a dozen donuts. Look at her, she's definitely eating those all herself. She came up right behind me and added, "That's probably just breakfast. Let me guess, you also drive a minivan because you can't fit in a normal car." The third kid, wearing a varsity jacket with Wyatt on it, pointed at my cardigan and said, "She shops at the same store as my grandma, in the plus-size section." While we waited for drinks, they sat at the table next to mine even though the whole cafe was empty. I tried to focus on the student files, making notes about intervention strategies, but Yvonne started taking pictures of me with her phone. "This is perfect for my Instagram story about fashion disasters," she said, zooming in on my shoes. When my drink came, Wyatt accidentally knocked into me, making me spill coffee on my cardigan and the student files I'd printed. "Oops, sorry lady," he said with fake concern, "but honestly that stain is an improvement." While I was dabbing at the coffee, Yvonne opened my purse and started going through it. "Let's see what boring people carry," she said, pulling out my reading glasses and putting them on mockingly. "These are like +10 magnification. You're basically blind." I calmly took my glasses back, but they were just getting started. Liam grabbed my phone when it buzzed and looked at the lock screen. "Who's texting you?" "Your book club." He held it up to show it was from someone named Margaret. "Margaret? Of course your friends have old lady names." When I reached for my phone, he tossed it to Wyatt, who pretended to fumble and dropped it on the concrete floor. "Whoops, how clumsy of you," he said to me as I heard the screen crack. While I was picking up my phone, Yvonne stuck her gum in my hair, pressing it deep into the strands at the back of my head. "There, now your hairstyle matches your personality. Stuck in the past," she said while her friends filmed it. They were laughing so hard other customers were staring. Wyatt tripped while carrying his iced coffee, dumping the entire thing down my back. The freezing liquid soaked through everything while he said, "Oh no, at least now you have an excuse to burn that whole outfit." Yvonne pulled out scissors from her backpack and said, "Actually, let me help." And before I could react, she'd cut a huge hole in my cardigan sleeve, much more fashionable with ventilation. When I stood up to leave, Liam blocked my path and announced to the whole cafe that I was probably going to report them because Karens like her always want to speak to the manager. He threw $1 on the ground. "Here's a tip for the entertainment. Buy yourself something nice, like a personality." Yvonne started chanting, car N," and soon they had other kids joining in. As I finally made it to the door, Yvonne followed me out and shoved me hard from behind, making me stumble into the parking lot. "Run along to your boring job," she called out. "I bet you're a secretary or something equally worthless. My dad owns half this town and could buy and sell people like you." She spit at my feet before going back inside to her friends, all of them watching through the window and laughing as I walked toward the school. An hour later, I stood back